If you were to ask any Chelsea fan right now what sight makes them tremble the most, I guarantee they'd all be unified in terror by one name: Mikel Arteta. I have to ask you, mate, do you reckon Mikel is taking these Chelsea fixtures personally? Because racking up 11 victories against them is absolutely mental.
Listen, while Mikel might not have been at the Arsenal for the absolute zenith of the Didier Drogba's Chelsea era, he certainly had a front row seat into one of the most brutal capitulations of the Arsene Wenger years. No player endures what Chelsea did to Arsenal on Wenger's 1000th game. In charge and walks away without carrying a deep-seated grudge. It is impossible not to take every subsequent encounter personally. Frankly, I believe Mikel is simply ticking items off a rather vindictive bucket list. Maybe he's targeting for 20 victories to properly atone for that 6-0 humiliation. Who can say for certain where the benchmark lies? But one thing is absolutely certain: wherever Arsene Wenger is watching from today, he will be immensely proud of how Mikel Arteta has turned Chelsea to Arsenal's whipping boys, the team that once gave him sleepless nights.
Mate, you've just dissected every Arsenal fan's feelings there absolutely poetically. But I couldn't help but notice our intensity dropped right off a cliff after they went a man down. Chelsea should have been hanging on for dear life, but the exact opposite happened. They dominated possession, they created more chances and had more attempts than us in that closing period. Give us the tactical breakdown, mate. What went wrong?
We may have merely scraped a victory at the Emirates this time, but as the adage goes, a win is a win. The manner in which you secure those 3 points is entirely secondary. You just have to get them on the board. Plus, listen, logically speaking, it makes perfect sense why Chelsea decided to throw everything at us. It is the easiest gamble to take when you have absolutely nothing left to lose. Conversely, it is somewhat natural for Arsenal to slip into a conservative shape to protect a lead, but that only applies if you are playing away from home against 11 men. Let's be brutally honest, sitting back and soaking up pressure when you boast a man advantage should never be the preferred approach. The most embarrassing outcome imaginable would have been Chelsea nicking a point in the dying embers of the game, an outcome that would have been entirely justified by the sheer volume of pressure they generated in the later part of the match.
Spot on. So what exactly should the gaffer have done to kill the game off? Because that final stretch absolutely drained the team, even with the man advantage. We even saw Declan Rice hobbling off at the end with a potential knock.
To be perfectly honest, a simple tactical tweak would have solved the tension entirely. You withdraw Eze and introduce Madueke. Then Bukayo Saka into a central role to completely nullify their build-up play from the back. Then remove an exhausted Zubimendi and bring on Miles Lewis-Skelly to execute those crucial line-breaking vertical passes. At that point, you have two electric runners in Martinelli and Madueke operating on both flanks. If Chelsea dares to commit bodies forward, they are immediately exposed in transition.
This is getting really, really interesting. So how exactly does that tweak change the shape and the team dynamics if it actually happened?
Yeah. Think about it. Chelsea were already a man down, leaving acres of space down that left channel. All we required was a player capable of vertical passing from the middle. Chelsea would instantly learn why it's dangerous to commit men forward when you are one man short. With a numerical disadvantage, the voids left behind would be glaringly obvious to exploit. With that one simple tweak, we would have walked away with a resounding 4-1 victory, rather than hanging on for dear life in a manner that very nearly cost us everything.
Fair play. But do you reckon Arteta views Lewis Skelly's talent in that same light? Or do you think he just felt the occasion was a bit too massive to gamble on the youngster? Because that might be the major reason he hasn't been given a chance in that midfield.
Look across the divide. Pep Guardiola is already integrating Nico O'Reilly into the Manchester City midfield, and he's flourishing. We all know Miles Lewis-Skelly is head and shoulders above O'Reilly in the middle. Arsenal and City are both chasing the title. Pep, the vastly more experienced of the two managers, is trusting a similar profile of player, and not out of necessity. In fact, they have fully fit and more experienced midfielders on the bench. I fail to see a valid reason why Arteta won't trust Lewis Skelly, particularly when Zubimendi is deep in the red zone. Frankly, and this is just my assessment, I don't see any facet of the game right now where an exhausted Zubimendi edges a fresh leg like Lewis Skelly. The gaffer desperately needs to refine his squad management. We need to see more of the lad in midfield.
That's a brilliant shout, mate. And to be fair, with Mikel Merino out injured, it's absolutely vital for Arteta to share the workload around. in the middle of the park. We simply can't afford another injury due to burnout. Right, let's pivot to the trending topic. Arsenal's Champions League knockout draw. Do you agree with the chatter that we've been handed a rather favourable route to the final? What's your take on the draw?
Listen, any team that qualifies for the knockout phases of the Champions League deserves to be there. They are all formidable opponents. Bodo Glimt defeated European heavyweights to secure their place. You simply cannot tell me Real Madrid or Bayern Munich deserve it more than they do. If you underestimate them, it will spell disaster before you even blink. Go and ask City and Inter who Bodo Glimt are. I'm sure they've gotten the memo. As much as we're pleased with the draw, people must understand we earned it. While other clubs were coasting against so-called easy opposition, we were slugging it out with absolute heavyweights, Bayern, Atletico and Inter, and we emerged unscathed. A flawless record of 8 wins from 8 in the group stage. I could remember vividly when Arteta played a strong Arsenal side at Inter, people were saying we've qualified, that he should have rested some players because of injuries and fatigue. It's only fitting that we receive a draw commensurate with the graft
we put in to top that table. If the pundits aren't happy with it, they ought to take inspiration and suggest their teams work a bit harder on their
own group stage performances next season. Maybe they'll get a similar knockout route. They need to mind their business and allow us to breathe.
The rumour mill's in absolute overdrive at the minute, mate. Word swirling around is that Arsenal are heavily weighing up a 75 million swoop for Newcastle's Anthony Gordon. Do you genuinely reckon Gordon is the right profile we should be targeting for that left wing berth?
Gordon is a highly capable footballer, make no mistake. However, I simply cannot view him as a definitive upgrade on that left flank. His ball manipulation might be marginally superior to Martinelli's, but we shouldn't be in the market for incremental improvements. Look, for that left-sided role, we need a ceiling raiser, a player who is head and shoulders above our current options in every conceivable skill set. I am talking about a bona fide X-factor, someone cast in the mold of a prime Alexis Sanchez, a hard worker, a ball manipulator.
Right, but can you actually name a profile out there right now who gives you that X-factor? Because I'm struggling to see many wingers in Europe delivering that Sanchez level of output, though I'll hold my hands up if I'm miles off.
It is undeniably difficult to find a like-for-like replacement amongst the wingers currently operating in Europe's top leagues. The solitary name
that consistently springs to mind is PSG's Kvaratskhelia. I remain utterly exasperated to this day that we didn't table a serious offer
for him when he was available last January for 62 million. You could see the turnaround in PSG's fortune immediately they snapped him up.
Mate, that is a massive shout, but do you honestly think PSG would ever let a player of his magnitude walk out the door? Especially when they're trying to assert their absolute European dominance for the next few years. It'll be more daunting than reality.
It would be a Herculean task, undoubtedly. PSG possesses immense financial muscle. They are rarely pressured to sell unless the player actively forces the issue. If Arsenal push on and secure the Premier League or the Champions League this season, we possess the leverage to test their resolve. Granted, you wouldn't secure his services for a penny less than 90 million in today's inflated market.
90 mil, that is a staggering amount of wedge. Do you really see Arsenal splashing that kind of cash on a left winger? Because a bloke arriving from PSG is going to be demanding an astronomical salary to match it, which could scupper the deal.
Listen, a player of Kvaratskhelia caliber elevates Arsenal's attacking dynamics instantly. His work rate out of possession is phenomenal, and he remains one of the very few players who has ever given Jurrien Timber a genuinely torrid time on the pitch. Kvaratskhelia is a quintessential Arsenal player. If we are serious, perhaps Gabriel Martinelli could be used as a make-weight to sweeten the deal.
Look, there's no plan A without plan B. Do you have another alternative in mind that will be cheaper in both salary and transfer fee?
Look, another name that springs into my mind is Everton sensation Lehman Njai. He's a good ball manipulator with amazing skills. He's fearless and loves take-ons. A good relationship between Arteta and Moyes could make the deal easy for us if we want him.